Welcome back to another episode of Sophia, the 380 SL. I want to thank first Jurgen for creating the last video. He changed out the door cards and also changed the seals, so thanks for making that video, Jurgen. I think that's pretty helpful for a lot of people to see. Also, 1,300 followers on this channel already. I think it's pretty crazy that you guys are watching some guy in his garage trying to fix up this Mercedes. I'm just using some crap tools, trying to keep the car out of the mechanic's hands and just trying to do things on my own along the way. So it's been great commenting with people across the world and just learning from each other, which is pretty awesome. Today's video is changing out the rear shocks here. So I ordered some Bilsteins. This is part number 24011-846. I've already done the front ones. You can go back on the channel and watch that. Today, again, just the two rears. And the reason I'm doing that is first I got another car. It's pretty old and I just want to change them out to new ones. You know me on my channel, I like to change out things on a regular basis. Also, my driveway is really hard to go up, and I've noticed that when my 380 sits next to other cars, it's like a half an inch or an inch, a little bit lower on the rear compared to other cars. So I'm really hoping these shocks will actually give me some room there, so I don't have to bottom out every time I go over my driveway. So I'm gonna measure things out, and I'll show you along the way, and hopefully it'll help out with my ride. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. It's been great commenting with people. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks. All right, as I said, my car sits a little bit lower than other cars. So I wanted to measure it and see if I get any increase in height here. So this is the driver's side. I just put the same mark that I'm gonna check a little bit later. This looks like it's 18. So driver's side is 18 and a quarter. Let's go to the passenger side. Looks like it's about 18, maybe a tad over 18 on this one. So we got that. And then what I did on the inside is first I strapped up the car so that way the seats are out of the way. And then I put these marks because I'm going to be taking these rear cards off. So I just put some tape and I put some lines here so I know where the levers go, so they go back in the same exact spot. All right, so next I'm going to take these rear seats off. I understand most of you guys don't have these, but for me, I do have them. I've never pulled these off, but just pulling on them, it seems like they're pretty easy to come off. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull these out of the way. That was surprisingly easy. They actually just pull right out. They're not attached to anything. So I did find 3 screws that I am going to unscrew. There's one down here. There's one up here. And there's one down there. So 3 of them. Those are the 3. I'm going to do the driver's side first because I figured this is going to be the harder one with these levers that I'm going to have to remove. Again, I marked them so I know where they go just in case. The way to get this thing off is on the back here. You can see a little clip. See that little clip back there? So you got to mess with that clip in order for it to unpop. I think I'm going to have to get a little hook or a screwdriver. Oh, it looks like it just came right off. Pull that off. There you go. That was pretty easy. So that's already done. Okay, next is this. Comes right off. That's pretty easy. And the next is this guy. Again, pretty easy. So that's off. Let me get a screwdriver and let me get those 3 screws out. So I got this 3 screws out of the way. I tried to wiggle this thing, but apparently it's jammed in there because of this rear seat. So I'm gonna take these 2 bolts off here and 2 bolts off here to get this backrest off. It seems like this thing is kind of jammed up in this backrest. So let me get that out of the way and I should be able to remove that rear card there. So the rear rest is gone and I'm left with this card, and it's pretty easy. So it's just tucked in underneath here. So if you just pull on it, trying to do this one-handed, but I also got the seatbelt in the way. You probably don't have that, but if you just pull on this a little bit, try to get this unstuck from the bottom of this lip, then you should be able to pull that card out, and it's gone out of the way. So I'm going to, there's 2 nuts on this right here. I'm going to attach one to the bottom to hold and then try to turn the top one to remove. I'll go ahead and do that. So by holding down to this bottom nut right here, I was able to turn the top nut with another wrench and get that off. And then now I'm going to be turning this bottom one, and luckily it's turning without having to hold the top. But if this top starts turning, then you need to go ahead and squeeze this down, hold that in place while you turn that nut to get that removed. All right, just want to show you what I pulled. So there's a top nut, bottom nut, they're exactly the same. They're 17s. Then this metal plate comes off, and then this little rubber donut looking thing. So that's it on top. So now it's time to go underneath the car. So looking underneath the car, it looks like there are two 17s again, holding this shock on the bottom side, and I'm going to loosen those two up. I do have a breaker bar. I'm going to go ahead and use the breaker bar and open those up right now. All right, the two bolts came out super easy. Shock dropped right down. See how old this thing is? But I can't wiggle this thing out with the car on the ground. So apparently I got to raise the car a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and get this shock out. All right, I have to get the car way up there in order to get the shock out, but it is finally out. This thing looks old. I'm gonna try to clean it up, see if it says anything on here, but pretty much the top just has a donut on there. And it might be the same size as that top donut. We'll check. Here is the top donut. Oh, the top donut looks a little bit smaller. The bottom donut is thicker. Let's see if you can do it side by side. Oh yeah, so the left one is the bottom donut. The right side is the top. Right is the top, left is the bottom. So, but anyway, I think this is original. Oh, looks old. Anyway, I'll clean it up. Let's see if there's any markings on here. Spider webs. Okay, so left side is out. I'm gonna go ahead and, since the car is up there, I'm gonna go ahead and get the right one out, I guess, as well. I'm not gonna show that to you because it's the same exact process. Probably easier without the handle, but didn't take too long anyway. So I've been at this for maybe 20 minutes, not too long. 30 minutes, not too long. I guess I should show you what I got with the new Belstein. So this is the new Belstein shock. Here are two new screws. Looks like these are a couple of washers that are for these two guys. So that's ready. Okay, then there's these two. One is convex, the other one's kind of flat. And then the top, there's only one because it's a nylon washer, or sorry, nut there. And then again, there's these two. One is thick, one's thin. Again, I guess the thick one goes on the bottom. So this one here doesn't have anything on top, kind of like this one does that I pulled out. So this is pointing down. So it looks like this is the one going downward like so, and then the top one, sorry, this is what goes next because it's thicker, and then I'm ready to go to insert this from the bottom, and then this is going to go on top, be this one, then this guy, then this guy, and these are for the bottom. Okay, let's get this thing inserted, screwed in. Now, since I had the car up in the air and I've already done the driver's side, as you saw, I decided to do the passenger side. Now, the difference is with the passenger side, the car is already up in the air, and I decided to take the shock out when it was up in the air, which is apparently not a good idea. So what happened was I came to remove this bolt, same exact way, but of course, since there's no pressure on it with the wheel being up, this thing right here, once I unscrewed it enough to the bolt to unloosen, it popped, right? And then the shock dropped down because of the pressure, because the car's up in the air. So moral of the story is you untie these bolts when the car is on the ground. Both sides are on the ground, right? And then once you have it kind of like up to this point, then you go underneath the car and then you pull you lift up the car and you remove the shocks from the bottom. So do it like I did with the driver's side, not the passenger side. The passenger side was up in the air. Have the car on the ground when you are removing the top part of the shock. Moral of the story. Now, since I have both shocks out, the new one and the old one, let's do a quick comparison test on how they're doing. And I was going to just do it kind of side by side. First one, I'm going to put this old one, push that old one in. Fairly easy to push down. And then see it recoils pretty quickly. And then I was going to do the Belstein, and then I'll try to do it side by side. This one's a little harder to push down. Kind of comes up a little slower. So if we try to do a side by side, I'm not sure if I'm strong enough to do side by side. Definitely not. There we go. All right, I'm gonna let go. They're about the same height right now. See how the Belstein's up there? Oh, now it's done. So the Belstein definitely recoils a lot faster than this old one. in the car. So I guess it's a good thing I am replacing these. All right, so the 2 bolts are secured down below, got the shock in, right? Drop the car. So once you drop the car, then this nut, this top of the shock starts showing through, because at first it's kind of like barely hanging in there. And then once you drop the car, then of course, then the shock will come on up. Put the donut, put this giant washer, and then next I'm gonna put this nut on there. And then we'll go from there. I got this side all ratcheted down. So pretty much what you need to do is you need to hold on to this little top part right here, because it's going to keep spinning as you're screwing in the washer here. So you got to do a setup like this. Get your clamp on top and then hold that in one hand, and then use your 17-inch ratchet and then ratchet that down. So it does take some time. I guess I had a ratcheting wrench, but I don't. So I'm just going to keep on doing that until it's done. Again, just keep going, and then eventually it will stop, and that's where mine stopped, right there. One final view before I put the seats all back. This is where you want it to end up. You'll feel it stop. So, but yeah, you can tell both sides, it kind of stopped at the same place, right? Which is good. So it looks pretty good. And I'm gonna go ahead and put all these seats back together. All right, car's all put back together. Everything is working great. Went out for a drive. It's definitely not as bouncy as it was before. And here's the original shock I want to show you. So this is an actual, looks like it's a Mercedes part. Here it is, Mercedes. I cleaned it up, and look at the rubber. Look how that's all cracking. So I'm glad this was changed out. Each side is $80, so this was a total of $180, $160 in order to get these 2 shocks and done. Took about an hour and a half of my time. Not too bad. I could probably do it again in maybe an hour or so, so fairly easy. Again, make sure you, when the car's on the ground, that's when you want to remove those 2 nuts on top. Once those 2 are removed, then you can lift up the car. Once you lift up the car, it'll give you the clearance, so that way you're able to pull the shock from the bottom out, put the new one in, and then drop the car. Once you drop the car, this tip of that will show through those holes, and you're able to add the nut back on. So that's what I learned. Again, pretty easy project. You can do this in about an hour, hour and a half. If there are other topics that you have, that you see around my car that I need to do, like, you know, I want to change out my antenna, for example, it's not working. I would love to do them and record them and post them on this channel. If not, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you at the next video. The car, just forgot to mention that the car did go up 1/2 inch on each side, which is great for my clearance. That's going to be very helpful. All right, catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.